Thursday, a new series of Play on One, beginning with Anthony Sher and Eleanor Bron in Changing Step.
Shall I be required to do any actual nursing at first?
Oh, good gracious, I shouldn't think so. With not so much as a home nursing certificate.
You'll fail in this. You haven't the strength.
Please, no, she'll have to.
I'm not a nurse, I'm a miss. Apparently you saw the
Shall we be truly wicked this evening?
Don't do that. You don't get to do that. Just speak to me.
I shall resign.
Romance blooms in the first of a new series, The Play on One, Thursday at 9:30.
On BBC2 in just under 10 minutes, highlights of today's final round in the 119th Open Golf Championship at St Andrews. Here on 1, in 15 minutes, Heart of the Matter with Joan Bakewell. Now at 10:10, the news with Michael Buerk.
The censor bans a fantasy film about Salman Rushdie's death. British Muslims attack the decision, and so does Rushdie himself. Nick Faldo wins the Open. They're calling him the best golfer in the world. Good evening. The British Board of Film Classification said tonight they've censored a Pakistani film about Salman Rushdie because it's a criminal libel against the author. The film portrays Rushdie as a drunken playboy who joins an Israeli plot against Islam and is finally killed by a bolt of lightning. Leading British Muslims are angry about the ban, which they say is hypocritical. Salman Rushdie, who's in hiding after the Ayatollah Khomeini ordered his death for blasphemy, has told friends he doesn't think the film should have been censored.
International Guerrillas is attracting record audiences in Pakistan, where it was made, with tickets costing 5 times the normal rate. It tells the story of an Israeli-inspired plot against Islam. A fictional Salman Rushdie writes the satanic verses as part of the conspiracy and is portrayed with a sadistic streak. Muslim volunteers seek revenge, but end up being gleefully killed by the author himself. It's this possible libel of Mr. Rushdie which seems to have worried the film board's lawyers.
The character that is called Salman Rushdie is not a writer, he's an international gangster, and who enjoys slitting the throats of Muslims and smelling the blood. This characterization clearly has nothing to do with the real Salman Rushdie, and is considered to be criminally libelous.
Pirate copies are fetching up to £200, but this London shop specialising in South Asian films applied to distribute the video legally. It's 6 weeks since the distributor and the film's producer showed it to the censors. Muslims feel the resulting ban shows the authorities operating a double standard.
Here, when an individual has been libelled, the forces of law come in to protect him. Whereas early on, when the vast community was libelled, was abused and insulted, yet there was no protection as far as law was concerned.
According to his supporters, Salman Rushdie himself was equally concerned about the ban when he heard of it today.
At his own cost, and at the cost to some extent of his security and certainly his peace of mind, he's arguing that the film should be shown because to ban it before it's been shown is censorship.
The film has an emotive climax in which the writer is confronted by the holy book he has allegedly blasphemed. Its screening in Pakistan has provoked some strong feelings, and Scotland Yard are reported to have questioned the wisdom of distributing it here. The film board's ban gives another twist to the Rushdie affair just when it might have died down. It's a gift to Muslim campaigners who ask why the book isn't banned too, and an embarrassment to the author's supporters who are trying to make the case for free speech.
Most of the 836 people arrested after an acid house party in Leeds have now been released from custody. Some have complained that the police were heavy-handed when they broke up the party. Under a new law, the party's organisers could face fines of £20,000 and 6 months in jail.
The party, which was being held in an empty warehouse, had started at about 2 o'clock. A security guard at a building nearby alerted police. The tickets, at £6 a head, had been on sale all over the north of England. Convoys of cars had come from Manchester, Preston, Liverpool, Leeds and Wakefield. About 200 police officers, some in riot gear, moved in to break up the party at about 5 o'clock. They were attacked with a hail of bricks and furniture. Several policemen were injured, 3 needed hospital treatment. Partygoers have criticised the police tactics used to break up the event.
Just hitting girls and everything.
Didn't give a warning to
for no
stop
reason.
or anything,
Nothing.
they just ran in.
Just come straight in, let the
And then
dogs
everybody
off,
panics
whacking
inside.
people.
There were a girl hit it face, there were all sorts that happened, a lot of people were beaten up, then we were just led against the wall and taken down to the police station and charged.
You see people walking out with bashed heads, all bleeding, you know.
There was a lot of people hurt last night, a lot of violence.
Police at the scene recovered £2,000 worth of drugs, including cannabis, amphetamines and LSD. Those arrested were taken to 30 police stations throughout West Yorkshire. Most have been bailed to appear in court at a later date in connection with criminal damage, public order or drugs offences.
Labour has confirmed that it'll scrap the poll tax and replace it with a new system of rates if it wins the next general election. Labour's alternative plans for financing local government will be approved by the shadow cabinet tomorrow. Tonight, the Liberal Democrat leader, Paddy Ashdown, said that by returning to what he called the old injustices of rates, Labour had shown itself to be a party of the past. The chairman of the Conservative Party, Kenneth Baker, said that Labour's plans would lead to huge increases in many homeowners' bills.
The shadow cabinet has agonised over its alternative to the poll tax, and the argument is far from over. But a compromise has been reached between those who wanted a straight return to the rates and those arguing for a property tax plus income tax. The Shadow Environment Secretary has won agreement for his plan, fair rates. If Labour wins the next general election, there'll be an immediate return to the rates, followed within 2 to 3 years by revaluation under a new system and comprehensive rebates. Some say this must and will lead to a system where the size of the rates bill is linked to income. Others in the leadership are very keen to play this down. The poll tax has cost the government dear, and Labour believes its plan will be a vote winner. But in a statement, the Conservative chairman Kenneth Baker said it would cause an explosion of anger from the millions who would lose out. A Tory critic of the poll tax agrees.
I'm amazed that the Labour Party, which portrays itself as a radical party, after trying all kinds of permutations, is going back to the old rate system with certain more dispensations, truly, and presumably it's going to fight the next general election on forward to the past with the Labour Party.
The return to the rates will be discussed here by Labour's ruling body as soon as possible. Then it'll go to the party conference in September. What's potentially damaging for the party is the apparent lack of agreement at the very highest levels about how much income should play a role in setting local taxation.
The president of the West African state of Liberia has refused to give up power despite calls for his resignation from some of his own government ministers. President Samuel Doe is a virtual prisoner in his mansion in the capital, Monrovia. His troops have been fighting to hold off the rebel forces only a mile away.
Liberia's President Samuel Doe is hanging grimly onto power, barricaded into a seaside mansion in the capital, Monrovia. After a 7-month civil war, the rebel troops are now just a mile away. The fighting has severed virtually all communications with the capital and left its people short of food and water. Now even the president's ministers are urging him to step down. At peace talks with the rebels in Freetown, the capital of neighbouring Sierra Leone, the information minister made this plea.
We have called on the president to make the supreme political sacrifice in the highest interest of the people and the nation, in order to save the people, the nation, and for his own personal safety.
But this afternoon, the BBC in London received a telex from the presidential mansion saying Samuel Doe was still in complete control and would continue to defend Liberia's constitution until a clear victor emerged. The message ended with a quotation from the national anthem of "Battle lay the hero's way, all hail Lone Star, all hail." American ships are waiting offshore, but President Doe has rejected a United States offer to help him leave Liberia safely. Latest reports say Doe's bodyguards from his own tribe are refusing to let him leave. More heavy fighting has been reported today in the heart of the capital. And as the rebel troops prepare their final assault, the presidential guards want to guarantee a safe passage to their tribal homeland in the east of the country.
Cuban police have sealed off the diplomatic quarter in Havana because so many people are seeking refuge in Western embassies. 18 Cubans are now sheltering in the Spanish embassy. A security cordon has been put around it and 2 other embassies. The Spanish ambassador believes the latest arrivals may be undercover police officers because of the ease with which they pass soldiers on guard. The Cuban government has said it won't allow any of the asylum seekers to leave the country. Labour's Foreign Affairs spokesman Gerald Kaufman has flown to Damascus. Mr. Kaufman hopes to discuss the plight of the British hostages in Lebanon. Before leaving, he was briefed by the families of Terry Waite and John McCarthy.
I feel that it's worth making the effort, not because I think that somehow or other I'm going to wave a magic wand and get our hostages released. That would be far too much to hope for. But because I think simply contact with a government that plays a role in these matters and an attempt to get information can be useful.
Britain's Nick Faldo has confirmed that he's now the world's best golfer with a convincing victory in the Open Championship at St Andrews. Faldo, who won the US Masters title earlier this year, was at his most consistent as he finished 5 shots clear of the field.
Nick Faldo's second shot of the day. 5 strokes ahead overnight, it was the clearest possible signal to his rivals that he intended to keep it that way. It set up a birdie. Faldo immediately 6 ahead. The American Payne Stewart issued the strongest challenge. This from the man who dresses by quarters, but never by halves, increased the pressure, and Ian Woosnam, hungry for a first major title, also got to within 4 strokes, but later fell away. Faldo, meanwhile, was steady, never spectacular. 9 consecutive pars kept the challenge at arm's length until Stewart broke free from the pack. This, on the 12th, took him as close as anyone could get to 16 under par and within 2 strokes of the lead. Others, though, were losing their way. Amongst them, Peter Jacobson, who took an 8 on the notorious 17th, and Craig Parry, who needed 2 shots to get out of 1 bunker on the 14th, only to put his ball in another. It was the kind of disaster Stewart needed from Faldo. Instead, he had one of his own, dropping a shot on the 13th, while Faldo, on 15, finally ended his run of pars and went back to a 4-stroke lead, effectively sealing the title. Despite the famous road, Mark McNulty, the Zimbabwean, had meanwhile registered a 65 for the day, good enough for joint second with Stewart, but still, finally, 5 strokes behind Faldo. The fans may have believed his victory to be a foregone conclusion. Now Faldo could afford to believe them. On golf's greatest stage, he tapped in for a 4-round total of 270, 18 under par. If his reaction was partly restrained, the roar of the crowd wasn't. Over 200,000, a record, have seen this year's championships. Then, with his caddy Fanny Sunderson carrying the baby, not the bags, suddenly an additional salute. British golfing victories may now be almost commonplace, but the home of the game is a special place to win.
I've got to tell you, it's wonderful to win at St Andrews. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Few will now doubt it. Nick Faldo is the best golfer in the world today.
The American Greg LeMond has won cycling's most important race, the Tour de France, for the 2nd year running. LeMond finished in the pack on today's final stage in Paris, but overall was more than 2 minutes ahead of his nearest rival. He took the lead for the first time only yesterday. Cricket and Somerset established a Sunday league record today when they scored 360 for 3 in their victory over Glamorgan. Graham Rose made 148 of the runs. His century came off only 46 balls, the league's fastest. England's Mike Atherton lifted Lancashire to 3rd in the table with a century in their win over Essex. And the fast bowler Cardigan Connor took 4 wickets as Hampshire dismissed the leaders Derbyshire for 61 to win easily at Portsmouth. Despite that defeat, Derbyshire are still joint leaders with Middlesex. Kent slipped to 4th place after losing to Surrey by 5 wickets. Nottinghamshire beat Warwickshire by 10 runs. A rare total eclipse of the sun occurred over Finland early this morning. Many Finns got up early to witness the solar eclipse, which began at 4 o'clock local time. In the following hour, the moon gradually moved between the Earth and the sun, blocking out the sun's light. The sun was totally obscured for just 83 seconds. The eclipse was visible anywhere from the northern Baltic Sea to Alaska. And time to put the lights out here. That's all from the newsroom this weekend. Good night.
Good evening to you. With high pressure settling down across the country for the next few days, it looks like we're going to see more interference on your television pictures, I'm afraid, and there's nothing we can do about that. Now, some places today have stayed cloudy, other places have seen quite a bit of sunshine, something like 14 hours on the south coast of England and also down in the West Country as well. And the hottest weather was down there, 29 degrees, 84 Fahrenheit, down at Saunton Sands. Very little changing in the next 24 hours then. The high pressure, that's where it is now, and that's where it is around about lunchtime tomorrow. Now tonight we've just got the outside chance of a shower coming up into Cornwall, but most places staying dry. Some patchy cloud across southern Britain, some patchy cloud too across northeastern Scotland. Quite cool in the north and the east tonight, much more humid down in the southwest. Temperatures there around about 14, but closer to 8 or 9 as you move northeastwards. Well, tomorrow rather more sunshine across Britain generally, but there will be these showers breaking out during the day. I think just isolated to begin with, rather more developing as the day goes along across Northern Ireland, the west of Wales and into the southwest of England. But having said that, many places will stay dry. Temperatures out in the west tomorrow, 22 to 25 degrees. That's not bad. That's into the low to mid 70s Fahrenheit. Still rather cool on the eastern coast of England though, with onshore breezes closer to 18, and that's 64. And that's it from me for now.